Hello, this is Sandro Forte again, and we are nearly at the end of the telephone path. Today we're going to talk about step number 6, something I call and have referred to previously as trivia. Now, trivia is just something as simple as reconfirming names, telephone numbers, meeting points, meeting times. So for example, Mrs. Smith, looking forward to seeing you next Thursday at 10 a.m. at the Ivy Club. It's in West Street in London. Let me just reconfirm you have my contact information, and let me just please confirm that I have your correct information. And what I will do with your permission is call you a day before just to make sure that you're still okay to meet at 10 a.m. on Thursday. How does that sound? And how does that sound is another example of a logical question, because what I've just said makes perfect logical sense. So I've established the meeting place, the time, and I've established that I've got her information. She has got mine. Of course, Mrs. Smith, if something comes up, please let me know. Otherwise, I will call you a day before just to check in and make sure that we are good to meet. How does that sound? That's great. No problem. Okay. Look forward to seeing you next Thursday. So step number 6, the trivia part is as simple as that. Now, I'm just going to add one final point to step number 6, because we're now going to fast forward to the day before the meeting. Another mistake that many advisors make is they call Mrs. Smith and they say, Mrs. Smith, this is Sandro Forte from Forte Financial. I'm just checking you're still okay to meet tomorrow. Now, inevitably, Mrs. Smith, sometimes, not all the time, but the moment we invite her to say, oh, I'm sorry, something's come up at the last moment, because that's exactly what we've done by saying, are you still okay to meet? We've given her a yes and a no option. We've opened the door and we've also closed it at the same time. We have to make sure that we keep Mrs. Smith engaged on the idea of meeting with us tomorrow. So instead of saying, are you okay to meet tomorrow? We simply say, Mrs. Smith, I'm just calling to say I'm really looking forward to meeting with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Now, when presented as a statement, as an instruction, rather than as a question, we massively eliminate the chances of Mrs. Smith saying, oh, actually, something's come up at the last minute. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Now, if this person has a bit of a track record and is, you've heard from your introducing source that they're a bit flaky and they tend to change their mind a lot, you can always add in an extra line by saying, I'm really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. And by the way, remind me to share with you a really important idea that I think will be of great value to you. And it just sends out that message. There's something there that makes it important, almost compelling for her to make sure that she shows up at the meeting. Now, what's that idea? You clearly don't turn up at the meeting. Mrs. Smith's first question is inevitably, what's that great idea? And you say, there is no great idea. I was just sharing it with you to make sure that you came to the meeting today. That would be entirely disingenuous. But, we've been in this business a long time. Even if we haven't, we've all got half a dozen great ideas that we're going to share with Mrs. Smith at some point. It might be a bit of legislative change. It might be a tax idea. It might be something you've picked up from the referring source. There's a whole bunch of things that we can share with Mrs. Smith as part of that hook, that process of getting her to the meeting at 10 a.m. on Thursday. So you now have the entire process. The bit that is missing for the eagle-eyed amongst you is step number 4, and that is the objection. Sometimes they occur. However skilled you are on the telephone, sometimes you get an objection. I haven't got much time. I want to think about it. My accountant deals with all that stuff. I already have a bunch of policies. I don't believe in insurance, and all the other things that fortunately are completely common wheresoever you are in the world. And I've traveled to 88 countries. The one thing that is consistently common amongst all those 88 countries is the objections are exactly the same. And that makes life a lot easier, because if you go to my YouTube channel, if you pick up on any of the materials that I share, you will see some of those common objections and how to handle them. But for the purposes of this little video section, those 6 videos that make up the telephone path, we will now be dealing with step number 4, just in case you get one, which is the objection handling, answers to all those often asked questions, all those often asked and raised objections, and we will deal with those in the next video.